Hi, Madison. This is Mrs. Spring. I wanted to clarify a few things for the questions you missed, but also, first off, make sure that you're using the help doc that I sent you for this unit. It's also posted in my Google Classroom. I have a help doc for every unit where I give help for each question on each assignment. So make sure you use that. But I'm going to go over some examples similar to the ones that you missed, and you can turn in your corrections. So for number 1, let's do 5 to the negative second power. Yours is 3 to the negative third power. So what the negative exponent means is whenever you have a number that has a negative exponent, you want to make it so there's not a negative exponent. And so what you do is you take the negative sign off and then you move it down to the denominator. So if it's already in the numerator, you move it to the denominator. So I'm going to take that that negative sign off and put just 5 to the second power. Now, there's nothing in my numerator, so I'm going to put a 1 there. So 5 to the negative second power is the same as 1 over 5 to the second power. And then 5 to the second power is 25. So this is the same as 1 over 25. So that's your answer there. For number 2, very similar. If I have negative 4 to the negative third power, let's first simplify what's inside the parentheses. So this is going to be negative, but 4 to the negative third power is 1 over 4 to the third power. And 4 to the third power is 4 times 4 times 4, which is 64. So this is the same as negative 1 over 64. Okay? Number 3 is correct. Number 4, there actually was a little minus sign here. It didn't get printed clearly. So what you're doing here first, if the negative exponent is down in the denominator, then you take that negative sign off and move it up to the numerator. So if I had 1 over 2 to the negative third power, I would take that negative sign off of my exponent and move it up to the numerator. So I'd have 1 times 2 to the positive third power. And then nothing's in the denominator. And then 2 to the third power is 2 times 2 times 2, which is 8, and 1 times 8 is 8. Okay? So again, you can retry these 3. Hopefully that clarified. Now I'm going to move on to the next one. Now for number 5, you're off to a good start. You just need to simplify it a little more because notice there's an n up here and an n down here. So the same base, different exponent. So you can simplify that a little more. Let me go over an example and show you what I mean. If I had x to the negative 5th power times x to the 2nd power, I'm actually going to show you a shortcut first. What I would prefer doing is multiplying these together. So remember, when you're multiplying numbers that have the same base but different exponents, you add the exponents together. So this is x to the negative third power. And then again, remember, if there's a negative exponent, you want to get rid of that and move it down to the denominator if it's already up in the numerator. So it would be 1 over x to the third. I could have done it the way that you did. I could have first switched it and said, I'm going to move this down to the denominator and this stays in the numerator. But then at this point, I need to subtract the exponent. So it would be 2 minus 5. And then again, negative exponents mean you have to take the negative sign off and move it to the denominator. So either one of those methods works. For number 6, again, before I start moving anything around, what I'd recommend you do is simplify. So I would first multiply this together and see what I get. So if I had For example, 1 over x to the 4th times x to the negative 4th. I would first multiply. Remember, multiplying numbers that have the same base.
Excuse the interruption.
Hold on. Multiplying numbers that have exponents with the same base, so the same big number, you add the exponents. So it would be 1 over, and this is a negative 4 and a positive 4. 4 plus negative 4 is 0, so my exponent would be 0. And then what is the answer if your exponent's 0? 1. So it's 1 over 1, which is 1. Number 7 is correct. If we look at number 8, you made a mistake there in that you added the exponent. So remember, when you have something with an exponent, like if I had x to the 4th to the negative 2nd power, this is called the power rule. This is when you multiply the exponent. So this would be x to the negative 8th power. And then if in my denominator I had a y to the negative 3rd to the 5th power, this is when you multiply the exponent. So it would be y to the negative 15th power. And then I have numbers that have negative exponents. So remember, if it's in the numerator with a negative exponent, you take the negative sign off and you move it down to the denominator. So I would have my x to the 8th down in my denominator. And then if you have a negative exponent in the denominator, you take that negative sign off and move it to the numerator. So I'd have my y to the 15th in my numerator. Okay, so why don't you give these another shot? If you're still confused, check out the videos on my help doc for this lesson, and let me know if you have any other questions. I hope you resubmit this.